War movies have long been popular amongst audiences and can dish out drama and tragedy in equal measures. However, there are some war movies that focus on the aftermath of war and how it impacts those who live through it. Movies about veterans often focus on the impact that the trauma of war has on people, often long after the war itself has ended. These movies showcase the complicated journeys that many veterans face when building new civilian lives. Movies about veterans are particularly poignant as they provide much needed perspectives on the war itself. Some movies, such as Coming Home, are fictional stories set against the backdrop of true events. These kind of stories are meant to be more universal, representing parts of the veteran's experience. Other movies, such as Born on the 4th of July, are based on the lives of real people who had their lives uprooted by their wartime experiences. Welcome to Popcorn Programming, and here are the 10 best war dramas about war veterans. Pop pop! In number 10, we have My Name is Bill W. from 1989, directed by Daniel Petrie. My Name is Bill W. is based on the true story of the men who founded Alcoholics Anonymous. The organisation, which is still active today, was founded by men who came together to support one another in their alcohol use disorder. One of these men, William Griffith Wilson, played by James Woods, was a former stockbroker and a World War I veteran. After the crash of the stock market in the 1920s, Wilson struggled to cope with the trauma he experienced as a veteran and the problems he faced in his family. My Name is Bill W. is a compassionate look at the struggles many veterans faced when re-entering civilian life. There is such a hopelessness in Bill W.'s story as he uses his own experiences to try and help others. This movie is a reflection on the legacy that so many war veterans left. My Name is Bill W. also showcases how many veterans were able to turn their own struggles into something that helped their fellows who experienced many of the same horrors. In number 9, we have Johnny Got His Gun from 1971, directed by Dalton Trumbo. Johnny Got His Gun is a war movie that follows Joe Bonham, played by Timothy Bottoms, a World War I veteran who finds himself dealing with massive physical and mental health disabilities caused by his service time. The movie chronicles his recovery and his quest to remember his previous identity. The Johnny Got His Gun is a brutal look at the suffering that war causes anyone who is exposed to it, and how ill-equipped society can be to respond to those horrors. Johnny Got His Gun is a devastating look at the impact war can have through the lens of a fictional soldier. The movie's anti-war message is a poignant one, particularly considering that this got released in the 1970s when the United States was fighting the Vietnam War. The fact that Johnny Got His Gun never loses its focus on the cost of war on those who live through it. The movie also meditates on how war impacts the humanity of those who survive war. In number 8, we have Megan Levy from 2017, directed by Gabriella Cowperthwaite. Megan Levy is based on the true story of United States Corporal Megan Levy, played by Kate Mara. Levy was a K-9 handler who was deployed to Iraq twice. After being injured by an IED and given 2 awards for heroism, Levy attempts to adopt Rex, who was the K-9 she was partnered with. Megan Levy follows Levy's military career as well as the challenges she faced when she left the armed forces and dealt with the war's aftermath. Megan Levy is another example of a movie that highlights the difficulty veterans can experience in transitioning from the military life to civilian life. This movie also showcases the service of animals in the armed forces and how people who fought with them were impacted by their presence during the war and after. Megan Levy also features a protagonist who had to fight government bureaucracy to get what she needed following her military service. In number 7, we have The Big Parade from 1925, directed by Kane Vidal. The Big Parade is a war drama that follows the story of a man from a rich family, James Apperson, played by John Gilbert, who enlists to fight in World War I. This silent movie was written by Lawrence Stallings, who is a World War I veteran himself. While the main focus of The Big Parade is on the wartime experiences, it also shows him returning to the US and immediately feeling having to readjust to surroundings that were once so familiar to him. What makes The Big Parade such a profound look at the experience of veterans is that the movie ends just as James's new life begins. Seeking the protagonist in the middle of the chaos of war makes it easier to appreciate what drastic change civilian life would be for him. The Big Parade is a comprehensive look at the experience of so many veterans, from what makes them enlist in the first place to how their experiences impact their lives after their service. In number 6, we have The Men from 1950, directed by Fred Zinnemann. The Men stars Marlon Brando as Ken, a former American GI seeking treatment in a VA hospital. Ken is paralysed due to injuries sustained during his military service. In addition to his physical injuries, Ken faces worsening depression. The Men chronicles Ken's journey to come to a kind of acceptance of his new reality. Ken's story is representative of the many veterans who have experienced and continue to experience the challenges of physical and mental recovery. The Men is such an effective story about veterans because it encompasses the unique challenges that physically disabled veterans seek when seeking treatment. Ken's rehabilitation journey is a difficult one as he comes to terms with his new reality. The movie also accurately portrays this massive shift in identity that so many veterans face after their service ends, especially if their service was cut short by traumatic injuries. In number 5 we have Thank You for Your Service from 2017, directed by Jason Hall. Thank You for Your Service is based on the book of the same name by journalist David Finkel. The movie follows several veterans of the Iraq War who struggle with PTSD when they return. Home from their deployment, Thank You for Your Service stars Miles Teller as Adam Schumann, a man who profoundly impacted by his wartime experience, as Adam's life begins to spiral increasingly out of control. While Thank You for Your Service isn't remembered as a particularly effective war movie, it accurately portrays PTSD, especially how it was throughout the early 2000s. In particular, how this movie shows that veterans' experience impact their family rings especially true. Thank You for Your Service emphasises the fact that so many veterans have trouble finding their place with their own families because of their traumatic experiences. In number 4 we have Coming Home from 1978, directed by Hal Ashby. Coming Home is a romantic drama starring Jane Fonda, Jon Voight and Bruce Dern. Sally, who is played by Fonda, has to face her loneliness when she is left alone by her husband when he is deployed to Vietnam. While her husband is away, she reconnects with an old high school friend, Luke, who is portrayed by Voight. She finds Luke a bitter man after he was paralysed in Vietnam and is trying to come to terms with his new identity. Sally and Luke begin their own relationship and become invaluable supports to one another. Coming Home captures the bitterness many veterans felt and continue to feel in the aftermath of their service. In spite of the bitterness, however, the movie showcases how essential love and support are to veterans as they make new lives. Coming Home also captured how relationship dynamics are impacted by military service and how complicated romantic relationships can become. Ultimately, the movie is a tragedy which reflects how Americans saw war itself at the time. In number 3 we have The Best Years of Our Lives from 1946, directed by William Wyler. The Best Years of Our Lives follows 3 former American service members as they reintegrate into society after their service in World War II. The movie is a meditation on American class and how this is impacted by war. Each of the veterans featured in the story is from a background that doesn't necessarily correspond to their respective ranks. The Best Years of Our Lives shows how varied the experiences of veterans can be. It makes The Best Years of Our Lives such a poignant look at the veteran experiences that it recognises the protagonist's common humanity while acknowledging that they come from different perspectives. The fact that this movie was released so close to the end of World War II is a testament to how Americans saw their own role in the war and in the New World Order. The Best Years of Our Lives is another example of a movie with a message of hope that there is life after military service. In number 2 we have Born on the 4th of July from 1989, directed by Oliver Stone. Born on the 4th of July is a true story of Ron Kovic, played by Tom Cruise, who is a Vietnam War veteran who was paralysed during the war and later became an anti-war activist. The movie follows Kovic's pre-war life and showcases the fact that he was always eager to serve his country. Born on the 4th of July follows Kovic as he is deployed to Vietnam, injured and sent back to America to live a different kind of life. Since Born on the 4th of July is based on a true story, it is all the more compelling. Kovic became an influential voice speaking out about the war. The movie emphasises the fact that Kovic and his fellow veterans were in unique positions to speak about the horrors they had experienced. Born on the 4th of July also highlights how Kovic was just one veteran who used his voice to try and make a difference in his country, when it was incredibly divided over the Vietnam War. In number 1, we have The Deer Hunter from 1978, directed by Michael Cimino. The Deer Hunter follows 3 American veterans who wrestle with their experiences in the Vietnam War. These 3 veterans, all from immigrant and working class backgrounds in Pittsburgh, had their lives completely uprooted by the war. The movie's portrayal of Vietnam and the Vietnamese people leaves much to be desired. What stands out about The Deer Hunter is that it captures how the trauma of the Vietnam War had far-reaching and often unexpected consequences. The Deer Hunter is often brutal and heartbreaking look at the aftermath of war from veterans' perspectives. The movie is another example of a story that gives viewers the chance to consider America's legacy in the Vietnam War, specifically how this war impacted the many veterans who were never the same when they returned. As tragic as the story is, The Deer Hunter also showcases how much veterans rely on one another to share their common experiences. And there you have it, there's our list. So what did you think? What is the best war movie about war veterans you've ever seen? Let us know in the comment section down below. If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and click the subscribe button if you are new around here. That's all for now, so I'd like to thank you for watching, and we'll see you later. Pop pop!